This is the Polestar 2. In Ireland, we are the 22nd market that has launched for Polestar since about 2019. And here we are heading for mid-2022. This car in Ireland, in single motor, short range, front wheel drive, starts from less than €55,000. And because its parent company Volvo, who co-own it, are all into safety, there's an awful lot of stuff as standard on this car. That's just what you're getting with Polestar. So I have some notes because there's so much to get through. So 228 brake horsepower, or 224 if you go for the front wheel drive single motored version. This is 228 brake horsepower. It's a kind of mid-spec vibe. There's the performance vibe going on, which will get you all-wheel drive, dual motored, and a good bit more brake horsepower, and it'll cost almost €70,000. This is on optional 20-inch alloy wheels. The front is just classic Polestar. The front grille sets it apart straight away. Size-wise, we're talking BMW 3 Series or i4, Tesla Model 3. We've got a frunk under here, which keeps your cables intact. And there's still plenty of room then in the boot because it's a fastback type of design. Anyway, welcome back to Nobby on Cars. This is the Polestar 2. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon or tip us on PayPal, there's links down below in the description on how you can help with all those things for the price of a cup of coffee every month and help us do what we're doing here on YouTube, which is fully independent. Keyless entry. As soon as you sit into the car, there's no start mode, there's no stop mode. Everything just comes to life. It will know who you are. You can memorize seats. There's extenders to the back of the thighs. There is a storage area down here, but it means your knee kind of hits off the edge. Well, my knee hits off the edge is probably a better way of putting it. They've made the display really bright, so even from the outside of the car, if you're charging, you can see exactly what your state of charge is. Like a lot of Volvos now, Polestar is powered by Google, so you can send destinations to the car from your phone. There's a digital key. You can have multiple users on that. You can pre-program in destinations. I love the way if you have a destination in, it will tell you what your state of charge will be when you get there, what your state of charge will be on the return part of the journey. It will tell you where you can charge, how fast those charges are, and if you're going to make it or not. So that range anxiety thing is, in theory, reduced. You do feel Volvo-ish with this steering wheel, albeit a Polestar sign and one very nicely up in the glass roof. It's just little subtle kind of things. That's tinted with a lovely colour, so it never feels too hot in the cabin. A lot of recycled materials going on. There is a thing called, let me get the name of this right. By the way, you can put a €1,000 deposit down on these cars. You can do it online, but they will be relying on the Volvo network to service the car. There's over-the-air updates, all the stuff that you'd kind of expect. So the seats are made from flax crop, but the technical name is B-Comp, I think is the name of it. So a lot of, there's fishing nets, recycled ones used in the carpets and the mats, but it never feels like it's cheap or, you know, of poor quality. It still feels very, very good. We've got Isofix in the front. We've got heated seats and heated steering wheel going on here. I can feel it working away. We've got a Harman Kardon sound system. Wireless charging, very simple gear selector here, and the play pause button that just makes everything easier. And there's cups down here, and there's extra places for storage. In Ireland we get the Pilot Pack as standard, but you don't get the full matrix style lights, but they're still LED headlights, so that'll be standard on cars in Ireland. A heat pump is also standard on cars in Ireland. Great news. Full wooden pedal driving, you'll never go back. I'll talk about that more on the drive in a couple of minutes. You can also use apps and watch YouTube, not when you're driving, on this screen. Hey Google, tell me a joke.
This one will make you giggle or sigh. Where do frogs keep their money?
Don't know.
The riverbank.
Riverbank. So they say the first time every time, Hey Google will work.
For help with that, you'll need to change your settings for personal results. You can do that.
I've only used it once and I can say, yes, it does. So far, so good. So when you put that €1,000 deposit down, that's the car sorted for you. The first deliveries will take place in July of this year. Polestar say they have stock. If you want one, you will be able to get one. Around the world though, it's hard to keep up with supply. A very striking looking car from the sides, from the rear, the red brake light across the back of it. It's one of those designs that possibly will be fairly timeless. Certainly enough to be futuristic looking, but not radical enough that people will be going, what the hell is that? Although I think with the Polestar Cross, you'll still get asked. If you have the key in your pocket, the boot will open, and it does it first time every time. So fastback means obviously it's easier to load things in. You've got all the usual things you'd expect from Volvo Polestar. First aid kit, nets for storage, 12 volts, a little area down here that can be held up, and then more storage space down below. And again, there's a little arm for holding that up, so it can make life a little bit easier. If you need rear access to the back seats, there's a little hatch for getting in there too. So I think everybody's going to be happy with the boot space. Families, if you're into biking, you'll drop the back seats and get a bike in there. It's kind of got a lot of practicality going on. And an electric boot, well, that's always impressive. As soon as you sit into the seat, you feel cocooned. I love those mirrors on the side. There's just a lovely kind of, just the way the glass almost goes all the way to the edge. Little ticket holder for your parking. It does feel heavy now. Just when you initially pull away, it feels like you're in something substantial enough. The one pedal braking is fantastic. You can mess around with the severity of it, but it's so good. It's one of the best one pedals I've ever experienced. It's really, really impressive. I don't think I've touched the brake once since I got into this car today. Maps are displayed in your driver's display, and you don't have to have the two of them on at the same time, so your passenger can mess with playlists and stuff like that. You've got a 360 view camera that comes as standard, that picks up everything, including when I pull up to that barrier, it was able to click onto it and get a bird's eye view. Hey Google, Weston Airport.
There's Weston Airport 21 minutes away. Want to navigate there?
Yes.
All right, Weston Airport 21 minutes away.
Excellent. It works first time every time, so they say. So far so good. I can confirm that. A little bit of wheel spin there, pulling away, and yeah, it will try and pull you in this front wheel drive version of the car. If you don't, hold on tight, because there's still a decent enough level of torque. Picks up that instant electric torque is just there straight away. €6,840, that's what you'll pay extra to upgrade to the performance pack, which gives you yellow things, Brembos, yellow seat belts, gold valve caps on the wheels. Rear leg room, generally good. These seats aren't the entire way back. There are cutouts just to give you a little bit of extra knee room. Heated seats in the back, USB-C charging options, 2 of those. Yes, of course, there is an armrest. Glass roof does not impact on the space here. There's still tons of it. It really floods the rear cabin with light. And you're seated quite low to the ground. A little bit of shortcomings maybe in the support for the back of your thighs on the rear seats here, because being particularly fussy. So we've got a 69 kilowatt hour battery. The long range is a 78 kilowatt hour battery. Same with the dual motor for front and rear. You can charge up to 130 kilowatt DC charging, 35 minutes to 80% from 10 on the single motor standard range. You get 155 kilowatts on the long range, and the same on the dual motor. Entry level 470 kilometers, feels like 4-ish. Mid-range, long-range single motor 540 kilometers, and the dual motor long-range 480 kilometers. And then we've got 228, starting with the 224, 228 and 408 brake horsepower on the all-wheel drive version. which is 4.7 seconds. I did find earlier on my Google Maps on the phone versus the car, it was the same distance in kilometers, but the time in the car was much, much longer than it was actually going to take to get to the destination. I thought that was a little bit strange. Brake horsepower 228. Like, it doesn't sound like an awful lot, but again, just that instant torque, it doesn't feel like it's slow at all. You do feel very at one with the road. You feel quite low down. Visibility is cool, and it definitely has it kind of feels like you're behind the wheel of a coupe, to be honest with you. There's good levels of feedback through the steering. It does feel great in that sense. It's not a direct comparison, there's more power in the BMW i4. It's rear wheel drive. It does drive better than this, I have to be honest with you, in that capacity. But that is an extra 10 grand. It's not quite a fair comparison. Yada yada yada. There's the one pedal driving again. It's so good. And it's like, even if you're not quite sure, you're just edging in. There's a creep mode that you can turn on and off as well. If you're just edging to a junction, as soon as you take your foot off, you're good to go with a gap, just like here, gap in the road. Off you go. You can see how much power you're using. Just get an orange scrolling bar, and off we go. So you've got adaptive cruise control. You just turn that on very, very easily. Just tap it up, distance between you and the car in front. There's vibrations going on through the steering wheel if you do veer across a lane. You've got blind spot, collision avoidance, all the safety stuff you would expect is on board. Just going to turn that cruise off. Consumption wise, doing about 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers right now. I'm sure that can be bettered. It is a press car. It is being tested over the last couple of days. People are always going to be a little enthusiastic just putting it through its paces. I do feel though, it's again, you know, I'm always kind of a little bit reluctant saying it, but there is a feeling of a driver's car off it, and that would only be bettered and would be improved by dual motored all-wheel drive. You know, you'd feel all that grip, and I think the fact they can pull off that power output, all right, if you do floor, you do get a little bit of torque steer and stuff like that, but in through bends, you don't find yourself needing to lift off at all. Through sweeping bends like this, you can kind of keep it planted, and it tucks in quite nicely. Thank you very much. And that's what I mean about this. There is a driver's car feel off it, absolutely. Washer jets in the arms of the wipers. I do like that. Always like that for some reason. As the rain starts, 'cause it's Ireland. So yeah, initial thoughts, you know, pretty good actually. I think, look at the executive mid-size saloons and fastbacks that this is competing with. It's priced pretty well from that €54,000. You know, the walks, the gaps between this and other models aren't too extreme, albeit if you want to jump to the performance model and all-wheel drive and all that stuff, that's going to cost you still below 70 grand. And with those Brembos and everything, it will look pretty good in a really bright colour. I think it will turn quite a lot of heads. Out of a bend, nice little whine off your motor, and you're back at, you know, a really decent speed straight away again. There's a lot to like. 20-inch alloys, they do look good. I mean, it's firm-ish. I don't think I would have expected a Polestar to be like it's floating on air anyway. It kind of seems like it would be odd for a performance sports orientated EV to not be a little bit hard. And if you want the handling that goes into a bend like that and comes out the other side of it pretty straight, then you can't have it all. Then you get some absolute, you know what, it won't brake for you like that on the bridge. Anyway, I like it. Very interested to drive the performance version of the car. I'll try and do that today, and we'll get it on the channel in the next little while. But I think it's a reasonable thumbs up so far. Polestar 2, cool car. Lots of tech, right at the edge of future now and future beyond. Over-the-air updates means you'll constantly be able to keep the software and the infotainment up to date. It'll never truly feel like an older car. That's the idea, any of it. Starting from 54 grand, it is a competitive price for what it delivers. Good range, over 400 kilometers in theory, fast charging. It's kind of got an awful lot going on for it. And again, it's another addition into an EV that's badly needed in the market, but certainly price-wise that we're kind of creeping into a luxury feel car that isn't crazily priced. And the more of these type of cars that people can use, family cars and stuff like that, the more we're going to see electric on the road. And with Polestar aiming to be a fully carbon neutral company, not by offsetting, fully carbon neutral by 2030, it should be an interesting space with what they have coming over the next couple of years. So thank you for checking out this first Polestar 2 review. Any comments, questions, please leave them down below, and I'll see you on the next one.